ready for more evidence that shows proof that mountains are not mountains. Mountains doesn't exist. They are nothing more than melted buildings. That's right, melted buildings. The only problem is you have been deceived from the moment you was born here in this place. They tricked you with school indoctrination programs and politics, fake news stories, and also deception in the movies to manipulate the way you view your reality. So when you go out there in nature and you see one of these formations, you think you see something that came from tectonic plates billions of years ago and shit. But that's a lie. And I'm doing my best here to try to prove it to you. So the only thing I'm asking from you is that you put everything you thought you knew to the side for a moment while you're watching these videos. This one, the upcoming ones, and also if you have the time, please go back and watch the older videos as well, especially the documentary. You'll find them on my channel here, because there is tons of evidence, thousands and thousands of photos that I have shown, gone through them in detail, even brought the pen out and did some drawing on them to explain to you what we are actually looking at. So I don't think there is anything else I want to say before we get started, other than you're fucking awesome and I love you. So let's get to it, okay, friends? Let's get to it. Beautiful, wonderful people. So again, like what we have seen plenty of times on this channel, is a formation that looks something like this, because many of them look very similar, because they used to be similar buildings that melted. Of course the outcome will be similar. The thing here about formations like this is the mainstream nonsensical dumbasses, they tell you that some primitive people came here and carved these openings, these windows and doors into this mountain, right? That's nonsense. What this used to be was a huge red brick building that melted down because of the X Factor event. Intense heat coming very often from the bottom. Looks like an overload of electricity that came through from the bottom, clamped through the buildings. The buildings got fucking hot and they melted. And then densified, which seems to be a pretty rapid happening on its own. When it densified, happened very fast. But this is the outcome of it. Looks like this. And then, you know, they came along and they wanted to hide this from you, so you don't know what was really taken from us, the glorious old world empire. So they came up with lies to deceive you, and I'm gonna attempt my best to help you break this programming, so you can see these formations for what they truly are meant to be. Next one. Here, those are not Titan cocks. Okay, I know they look like dicks, but they are not. Okay, this used to be some kind of towers with spires, probably Antiquitech on the top, etc. Red bricks, and they just melted. And you know, you have plenty of them. You can even see one of the openings here. What could have been a door or a window, who knows? But yeah. This is also just tops of buildings that's melted, not penises. And here another so-called cliffside, whatever, they call this a mountain. And just look at all this concrete looking thing that's just melting down, and you can still recognize this section of the building is still pretty much intact here. This is what we call a pocket of survival, because for some fucking reason, this section managed to survive. We can still recognize it. Nobody carved this. It's a good lie, yeah, the carving thing, but that's not what we're seeing here. Just look at, you have to recognize the details you can see in some of these formations here. They look exactly like the buildings they built with these column looking things here, and you know, you even got something over there. Why carve something over there for no reason? Do you know how much time it takes to carve something like this? And even in primitive times with bronze chisels and hammers, it's impossible. It's plain impossible. This is just the remains of a melted building. Just keep an open mind, my friends, okay? Here as well, you get this section here. Can I draw? Okay. This area here is what we call pocket of survival, because you can still see some of the structure of the building. But the rest of it, just look at this. This was all red bricks and they melted down. Started to rock curtain itself, the whole building. The building melt came over itself and covered whatever was underneath. But here in this area, all of this melt here didn't manage to cover all of it, so we can still see what's underneath right here. But here we cannot. So that's why it was rock curtained, the whole thing here. We have seen this. I know some of the photos for the Eagle Eye crew, the ones we already know. Some of the photos will be shown again and again and again, but that's because there is constantly coming new people on here, and evidence like this is just so good that I have to show it again to the new people. And I know that many people will not take the time to go back and watch all the videos, of course, because it will take so long. So it's understandable. So that's why I'm just gonna show some of the photos again. But I'm trying to keep most of the photos as new evidence that I haven't shown before. Here another melted building, looking very concretey, and just see, you can still see openings here, up here, some kind of wall up here, just very damaged and melted, almost beyond recognition. But the Eagle Eye crew can still see what this used to be. That wasn't the biggest photo, so I will zoom a little bit on this one, so you can hopefully see it better. And this is like the same as we saw 2 photos ago. You see the same kind of, you can recognize some of the structure here, openings, doors, windows, some stairs here. You know, you see some of the shapes that was in the building before it melted, but now it looks like this because it got very fried, cooked and damaged. By the way, most of the photos from today is from Pinterest. Has amazing photos. There is amazing photos on there, but you know that the resolution ain't the greatest. You know, I can't get full screen photos from there. So it just gotta be like this today. I'm sorry. I've shown this before as well, but yeah, just if you're new to this, just picture melted buildings instead of carvings, and when you look at this, and what you think, because this was a huge building and it melted, and some of the openings and the structure here, structural value still remained here, so you can still, you know, you can still recognize it. Nobody carved this shit. And here, this is a street somewhere, and this is the current ground level up here, with these bushes here and little trees. And then if you start digging, you find brick walls going down, windows and shit under the ground. And that raises a couple of questions, and one of them is, how deep do this building go, right? This structure here, Because this is obviously some remains of an old building that was here in the past. How deep will it go if you keep digging, keep digging? I don't know. And why is it underground? Why is it buried here? There is explanation for this as well. People call it mud floods. Personally, I call it melt floods or brick floods, whatever. And I have explained this in previous videos as well, but I can do it again very fast, very quickly right now. And that is because when these buildings melted, sometimes they turned into a kind of a, say, a liquid when they melted, and it started to flow everywhere. These buildings was huge, okay? Picture mountain-sized buildings, and they are melting. That's a lot of mass that has to go somewhere. That creates the brick flood, because all this building melt start to flow and bury whatever is surrounding it, and then it densifies and breaks down into sand and mud and clay and all kinds of stuff. That's my explanation of the mud flood and why so much things are buried here in this place. This one, melted building, from a melted building perspective, this is a very self-explaining picture here. Still see openings, you can see some of the spires domes on the top, very damaged and melted, but still recognizable as a building. If you got the eyes to see, that is. Just keep looking at these photos and think for yourself, because it's not as crazy as it sounds like if you're new to this, if you just keep looking at them. And here I think this is the area we saw in the last video. Just we saw it from a bird's eye view last time. So this is down on the ground level, and you can see the pockets of survival here, all these brick walls, buildings here and openings, and up at the top here it didn't do very well, and now it turned into this very destroyed building here, and they call it a cliff. That's nonsense. It's not real. It's not a cliff. It's a melted building. And here again, just a little impression in the building melt that's still recognizable. They call this the dwarf's door or something. I don't know the size of this door, but you still got some of the columns melted, of course, and everything around it very melted. Nobody carved this. This is just a pocket of survival. And here, another pocket of survival, old wall building, and you